Hello, welcome back. Today I'm doing something a little bit different outside of like Disney content, which I know I do a lot. If you don't know, I am low-key like a forever student. I refuse to graduate. It's just, I don't know. I've been in school for, dear God, 7 years now. I already have one bachelor's. If you don't know, I have a bachelor's in criminology. I'm a couple courses away from also having a bachelor's in communications, and I also have a certificate in legal studies. So I do a lot of school. I've done a lot of school. I have done all the university, I feel like, and I thought I would just come in today and talk about just a few little things on how to survive finals. I know finals are coming up. This will be like first week of December that I'm posting this, so like hopefully this fall is kind of around that time for people. But as much as I love doing Disney stuff, and I'm still gonna keep doing Disney stuff, I wanted to do like a few more like non-Disney things for y'all, and hopefully this will be helpful, because I used to do more like college advice and like college-y and university type videos, and then I kind of like geared away from it, but now I'm back. So hopefully this helps. I'm going to talk a little bit more like material and how I study material later on, but just start with like general things. I've mentioned this before for people who are also online students, but block out set times for you. So if you take a 3-credit course, generally that is 3 hours worth of classes, or at least that's how my university does it. So you're taking a 3-credit online course, block out 3 hours a week to do that course. Usually a 3-credit course will be built up in like a 2-hour lecture and a 1-hour tutorial, or a 3-hour lecture and a 1-hour tutorial if it's a 4-credit course, you know what I mean? So if you're taking a 3-credit online course, expect to put that much into it a week. So block off that time for yourself, and then when it comes to studying, give yourself like specific you time, so this way you don't end up cramming. I'm still a big believer in cramming, honestly, because I'm one of those people that I can take a lot of information in right away. I can also type very fast, and I can push papers out really quickly. But if you are someone who has a huge amount of material that you need to take in, block out like, you know, half an hour or an hour every night, every other night for a couple weeks leading up to it, so then you have set notes. And then if you do cram, when you do cram, because honestly all students do it, you'll have like a very solid like amount of material, so you're not trying to cram like all your lecture notes and all your textbooks and everything into that time. You'll have like a little pocket of things to cram about. You feel? Set times where you're like not on your phone, you're just focusing as if you were like in class or like just doing that, because I feel like it's really easy to get distracted, and then like something that you could do in half an hour worth of studying or focusing on something actually takes 3 hours because you're on your phone and watching videos, and then someone called you, and then you did this, and then you went and gotten some food. You know what I mean? Also, it helps to know what kind of studier you are. So like I said, I am a crammer, and I'm okay with being a crammer. I know this is hard if you're in your first couple of years of university, but you'll find out pretty quick if you're someone who can take a lot of information really quickly and soak it in, or if you're someone that needs more time. I find a lot of times, because I procrastinate, it's hard for me to get myself to do things, and I don't retain information for long periods of time. I find it really beneficial to like stick a bunch of that really important information in my head the night before, but some people need like a little bit more time to like work themselves up to it. So really quickly you'll find out what type of study you are, and then stick to that. If you're someone that, you know, doesn't do well studying textbooks, then don't force yourself to study with textbooks. You know, my battery's dying, so I'm gonna go charge this, and then I'll be back at probably a different angle. The lighting is now officially terrible in my room. Now I'm gonna talk a little bit about like material and my studying tactics. The way I've always like done this, my like overall word of God for studying, is if it comes up and it overlaps in between lecture notes, textbooks, and like lectures, or like additional readings, it's probably important. So if there's a theory that's in your textbook but your prof also brings up, it's probably more important than a theory that's not in the textbook and your prof brings up, or is not brought up by your professor but is in the textbook. I generally put more weight on lecture material than the text, because the text usually has a lot more just like stuff in it. But if something overlaps between those, and especially if it overlaps with additional like optional readings, usually important, is usually going to be on some sort of exam. Utilize your profs and TAs. If you have questions, ask them. They're getting paid a ton of money, and this is what they do for a living. Usually there's someone who's also passionate about the topics. They usually want to talk about it a little bit. So utilize them. Send them an email, ask questions about theories. If you think something relates something, run it by them. I've had professors before that I've had really good back and forth with. I actually just went through like my whole university email and filtered through a bunch of stuff, and I found a bunch of emails that I had with my youth offenders professor, where he was like, oh, I know that you were writing your paper on this because you asked me about it, so here's an article that I thought would be interesting to you, because it relates to what you're doing your topic on. So having a good rapport with your professors and your TAs and having them kind of in the loop with what you're working on project-wise, as well as asking them questions about the topic, not only shows that you're interested and you care, but also sometimes they'll help you out a little bit. So having good relations with professors and TAs is really helpful. I personally try to narrow things down to a cheat sheet. So looking at a textbook, they can be super stressful because sometimes, like my psychology textbook in my first year university class, it's like 600 pages long. So I try to break things down as small as possible. So if I'm doing text as I'm studying through my text notes, I try to take one chapter of text and make it the size of one piece of paper. That way if you have 10 like chapters to study, which could be 300 pages, you can break those down to like 10 pages worth of notes or 5 double-sided pages, if that makes sense. So I try to do that and break that all down. Same with lectures. I try to take all my lecture notes and make it into like one page of the most concise, most important information. I write that out really nice, really clean, easy to read, so it's not like my scribbled lecture notes. And that way, when you go to study, or if you're someone who crams right before exams, then you're only cramming like 20 pages, not like 900. I like to do paper notes. This is super just a me thing. I've never been a big technology person. I've always liked handwriting my notes. Even for like YouTube, like I handwrite all of my video notes. I've always been this type of person. I find that handwriting helps me take information in better. I also find that it lets me put things into my own words more. So if professors put out their lecture notes and I'm taking laptop notes off of those lecture notes, it's really easy to just copy and paste things. If I'm taking notes by hand, it forces me to write things out in my own words, and writing things out in your own words makes you more likely to remember them. So even if I do take laptop notes in lectures, I make sure that like my final exam cheat sheet study notes are in my own words in paper to study off of. Overall, the biggest thing is to relax. This I've always been good at. Maybe I'm just a low stress person, but there's always something you can do about it. So your chances of like dramatically failing if you've kept up at all throughout the semester, am I okay, is pretty low. So usually you have some sort of knowledge just from going to class and like doing readings every week that will get you at least moderately through. If you do fail terribly, again, there's always something you can do. Have I failed classes? Absolutely. Have I gotten D's before? Totally. Have I also gotten A's? Yeah. It's just sometimes you're going to take material that you're not super comfortable with, that you don't care about. If you go to my school, they force you to take what they call QWBs, which is 2 writing intensive, 2 science intensive, and 2 quantitative intensive, so 2 math courses. So I'm not good at math or science. It's just not me. I'm a social science student. I'm a communication student. Not my thing. So I've had to retake stats, and I'm okay with that. I've just accepted it's my life, you know? But you can always retake a class, know your school's policies on how to like go talk to TAs, maybe argue grades, see if there's extra credit you can do, things like that. The lighting just changed a lot again. Hi son, how you doing? There's always something you can do. Usually you can always retake it. Sometimes there's a second option. I took one stats class and it was really hard and I failed it, so I took the other stats option and I did okay in that one. So not everything's gonna be for you. That's okay. But going into exams or papers or things like that, stay relaxed, try and pace yourself out throughout the semester. If you gotta cram the night before, you gotta cram the night before. You girls written a 10-page paper in 3 hours before it was due because I forgot it existed. It's just, it happens sometimes. Like I said, you'll be fine. I say this as someone who's a forever student. It'll be fine. Everything will be okay. So hopefully this was helpful to some people out there. If you guys want to see more stuff on like college advice or university related or my experience, things like that, you can let me know. I did a video on a crazy roommate, so that'll be linked up at the cards, but I live in dorms, so I have kind of some feedback on living in dorms too. But yeah, all my links to everything else will be down below. Feel free to subscribe. Apparently telling people to hit the bell notification is a thing now if you want notifications when I put a new video out. So feel free to do that. And I will see you guys in a couple of days again. Bye.